because he did not find it a comforting myth, but a cruel one. He proposes the myth of fortune as a defense against the progressive view, common to vulgar pagans and to vulgar Christians alike, which comforts cruel men by interpreting variations of human prosperity as divine rewards and punishments. You see, one of the things like Africans, because they're poor, people really don't care about Africa. And in the bottom is because of this myth. And this is a Protestant sickness, but it's also found amongst the Muslims. This idea that somehow that if you're graced with wealth, it's because God's obviously pleased with you, because if he's impoverished you and put you in a bad condition, well, gee, that must be because he doesn't like you. Because if I like people, I like to give them things. And if I don't like them, I like to withhold things from them. This is the way that people think. And so this Protestant idea that wealth is a sign of God's grace. Therefore, the Americans are obviously the most graced people on earth, and God loves them because they're the wealthiest country on earth. And obviously the Palestinians, look at the Israelis. They have everything. The Palestinians don't have anything. Therefore, they're obviously chosen. God's chosen them over these pathetic Palestinians that can't do anything for themselves. So what he's saying is it's a cruel myth because it convinces the oppressor, who often misuses his power that he's been given, that somehow he's divinely sanctioned to do so, and that he can do what he wants with impunity, and he always wears the white hat, the myth of the good guys. I mean, this is one of the great myths of my culture, if you're from Australia or England or any of the European countries, this is a myth, that we're always right. The Eurocentric worldview, that other peoples don't seem to count. That when we go into India and colonize it, this is the British idea, when we go into India and colonize it, we're doing it for their own good. These are backward people. And isn't it interesting that when Christianity was the dominant ideology in Europe, they needed to spread this wonderful Christianity and remove these backward religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam. So that was their impulse then, always with the commercial agents alongside the missionaries, right? So let's spread Christianity because they're so ignorant. Now that they've gotten rid of Christianity, they've convinced themselves that, oh, these backward fascistic Muslims and these despotic Asiatics, we need to bring them liberal democracy because this is obviously the most superior form of government because it's our form of government. And these horrible Gulf Arabs, look at these terrible sheikhs that control their people. Look at these poor women. Our women are so liberated. Just look at Las Vegas, right? And look at these poor women in bags walking around, right? And then they tell you, don't let the sun get near your skin because it's going to give you skin cancer. I mean, if you go to a Saudi Arabian lady, she's like 80 years old. She's had her face covered her whole life. Her skin's like porcelain, right? People that know this, that have been there, right? And you're saying, how does the sheikh know what's behind the veil? My wife told me. They don't need all these creams that they pay millions of dollars for. They just keep that face thing on and they never get the sun. So they don't get wrinkles. I'm not making a case for the face veil. It's a urf, you know. I mean, there's some people that argue that it's sunnah, but it's a stronger opinion. It's a urf of a people. If it's their urf, that's fine. If it's not their urf, then... But that, you know, this is the Eurocentric view. You know, this is the disease of the people in the West. And it's not about color. Don't think it's always about color, because the Irish are as white as the moon. And they've had 800 years of Anglo-Saxon hospitality, right? And the Welsh are the Irish that couldn't swim, right? Nabil? Is Nabil here? Is that? Come on, admit it. So, He regarded all notions of progress as forms of social Darwinism. I mean, isn't it interesting? You know, their imam is Darwin. That we're evolving, and obviously the most evolved group of people, according to Samuel Huntington, are the Northern Europeans. Even their skin's the most evolved skin, right? Because we were dark as coal. That's the first people, according to science. Now we're evolving, getting lighter and lighter. So these are real myths that people carry around.